This passport grants you with visa-free access to over 150 countries, including the Schengen region and the UK. And guess what? You can legally obtain it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of iCitizen. Today we are going to talk about the Citizenship by Investment programs offered in the Caribbean countries. And we are here with one of the industry leaders in this field, Passport Legacy. Many of you may not know that you can legally obtain a strong second passport. It is a pretty straightforward procedure and there are quite some advantages. Jeffrey Hansler, the managing partner of Passport Legacy, is here to tell us about those advantages. Hi Jeff, how are you?
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for coming. Very well, you?
I'm also very good, thank you very much. Great. We work with Jeffrey and Passport Legacy with many Citizenship by Investment programs. And I must say, we are extremely happy with their professionalism and transparency. So Jeff, if you are ready, let's dive straight into the topic.
Please do.
There are 5 countries in the Caribbean that allow Citizenship by Investment. Those are St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, St. Lucia, Antigua Barbuda, and Grenada.
That's right.
When a client approaches you with an interest of obtaining a strong second passport, most of the time they don't even know the name of those countries. So what kind of questions do you ask them to determine which program fits them the best?
We definitely try to identify their family situation, which means we see how many children do they have, what ages do they have, maybe they even want to include a sibling or a parent, and therefore select the ones that are targeted for these specific family situations. On top of that, we see what is the need for that second passport, which means we see if they have a special country they need to travel to, for example. We select Antigua for people that need to travel to South Africa, for example, or Grenada for people that need to go to China for business, as an example. And when we have this whole family situation, we're able to identify everything that is needed and select the right program for them.
I understand. So it's extremely important that we get to know our clients first to be able to recommend them an appropriate program. And there are 2 ways in obtaining a second passport in the Caribbean. First one is government-approved fund donation, and the other one is real estate investment option. Recently, there is an increasing demand for the real estate investment option. So can you tell us the difference between those 2 options? Or another way to ask this question is, under what circumstance would you recommend the government-approved fund donation, and under what circumstance would you recommend the real estate investment option?
You're definitely right on the increase of real estate investments done in the Caribbean to obtain a second passport. This mainly for the fact that the governments decreased the required investment amount. Usually it used to be 400,000 or 350,000. Now it starts at 200 and 220, depending on the program. Not only that, but people that wish to obtain, for example, the E2 visa in the United States with the Caribbean country of Grenada, it is favorable to gain the E2 visa if you have a property or an address in the Caribbean. Not a full requirement, but it is favorable.
Preferred.
That's right. Which means that also based on this decrease of the investment of real estate, the donation and the real estate investment, they came closer together. And therefore, many people, they decide to go into a real estate investment
Pay
instead.
a little bit more and then get the real estate asset as well.
Right, exactly. Usually the real estate needs to be kept for 5 or 7 years, depending on the program, and can then be resold even to somebody that also wishes to apply for a second passport.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And for the government-approved fund donation, under what circumstance would you recommend this?
It's mainly good for people that say, you know what, I want to do a one-time investment, get my citizenship, don't think of having the property rented or resold after a certain amount of time, and avoid of having, for example, a headache later on when it comes to reselling the property, because you need to find a buyer, you need to find somebody that rents it, etc. And some people, they don't want to go through that hassle. They say, I rather invest this difference into a property in my country between the real estate and the donation route, and they have it under control because they live close to that investment.
And also maintaining those properties is not that easy as well, especially if it's in the other end of the world, right?
I mean, definitely we work with property management companies, or some people, they wish to obtain an investment into a 5-star resort, for example, which is fully managed and operated by them, while they will only receive a rental return every year. But the resale part will still be on them.
I see. So I guess it heavily depends on what the preference for the client. If you are looking into making some extra passive income through your investment, real estate investment would be better. But if you want to get it over and done with at one time and you have your strong passport, you don't want to think about it again, then the government approved fund donation is better. Let's talk about the additional charges that come along the way, because quite often I see on social media a Caribbean program being advertised only for the price of the government-approved fund donation. So can you explain what other charges are waiting for our viewers that are interested in obtaining a second passport?
Definitely, yes. So there is always a due diligence fee that comes on top of the initial donation, which usually starts at the $100,000 or $150,000, depending on the program. Most countries also have a government processing fee, like in Antigua and Barbuda, for example, it's $30,000. That comes on top of the $100,000 donation. And then we also have a passport fee, an application or processing fee. So you can think of it like $100,000 is the donation. And on top of that come certain fees and costs on top. This is also very depending on the family situation they wish to apply for the passport, and therefore it cannot be specified very exact unless we know the family situation.
I understand. So when you see only one price, you shouldn't be counting on that. There is always some other charges that come along the way.
That is right.
However, with Passport Legacy and iCitizen, when you receive a quotation, it's only going to be the one price, and you're not going to be surprised with additional charges that come along the way.
That's right. One important note to add here is that we also take care on the certifications, on the translations. We also can help you to obtain a police certificate, for example, depending on the country, and therefore always make sure that we come as close to the offered rate as possible, meaning it will be an additional $100 or $200 maximum, which mainly applies for the medical certificate and needs to be done in the country where the applicant is a resident.
I understand. Thank you very much. And all these applications are subject to government approval, right?
That is right, while a certain part needs to be paid before the application is submitted, mainly the due diligence fees and application fees and processing fees, etc., in order for the government to outsource the due diligence and then come back with an approval, while only upon approval they request the final donation amount.
But there is a misconception here, because a lot of people think that they have to spend the whole amount, including the government-approved fund donation, and spend all the processing fees, and then wait for approval, which is not the case. Yes, there is certain amount of investment you need to do for the processing and due diligence. However, the biggest amount of money is going to be submitted to the government only after the approval, right?
That is correct, exactly, yeah. So if you want to break it down in percentage, it's around the 25-30% to be paid before approval, and the remaining around 70% upon approval of the application.
And of course, for the exact breakdown, the client has to approach us first, and then we will be able to provide them with the exact quotation.
Again, depending on the family situation. That's correct. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And all these countries are a member of the Commonwealth, right? So there are some advantages that come with being a member of Commonwealth country. Yeah. One of them is holding a strong passport. What other advantages do you get if you hold a passport that is a Commonwealth member?
First of all, these countries have a very good reputation based on Queen Elizabeth being the head of these countries. They're very neutral countries. They're very laid back. At the end of the day, it's the Caribbean. Yeah? And therefore, if somebody wishes to apply for a US visa, for example, it's very easy to gain a 5 or 10-year visa with such a passport. On top of that, there are also, apart from the visa-free access to 150 countries or more, if someone would like to, for example, study in the European Union or the UK, it's easy to obtain a study visa there. Also, employers in Europe, they always check on the passport the applicant is applying for this specific position. And if you have somebody with a very good education that is actually very much needed for the job, however, is restricted in traveling, for example, as an investment banker, if he or she needs to be in Singapore tomorrow, but needs to wait 3 months until the visa is coming, with such a passport, the future generations definitely have a better chance of applying for a good profession in Europe as well.
And those passports that you obtain, can you pass it down to your future generations?
Definitely. All the countries have citizenship by descent, which means all future generations will receive the passport automatically, meaning that we need to go through an application, but it's automatic.
Perfect. And one last concern I have is, for example, a client from China gets a Dominica passport with us, and she travels to UK with her Dominica passport. Is she going to get stopped in the customs in the UK because she was not born in Dominica?
Can happen very easily that somebody has a question and one of the immigration officer asks, how did you obtain the passport? You can say very easy and honest that you've invested into the country, and based on that investment, you receive the citizenship. Not only do you get the passport, you will also get the certificate of naturalization, which you can carry on the first time you travel until you have the first stamp in your passport, so that if such a question come up, you're easily able to answer. Most important is that these countries and the programs are 100% legal. So there is nothing to be worried about, but if you have an immigration officer that is interested in how you got this passport, citizenship by investment is a very easy clarification.
It's legal, and most of the time, even the immigration officers, they know what you did there, right? They don't even have to ask you these questions anymore, because there's an increasing demand for the second citizenship in the Caribbean countries, and the immigration sometimes gives you this cheeky look. I know what you did there. This is a smart option.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, this is all the questions I had so far. And do you have any recommendations for our viewers if they're interested in obtaining a second passport?
Important is when you look at the company you would like to work with, it's important to work with an authorized agent such as ICITYZEN or Passport Legacy, which means that we hold all the certificates that show you that we are an authorized agent with the government of any of the countries. More important than that is get to know us personally, come for a consultation, learn how you can obtain a second passport, and you can rest assured to get the right information from our companies.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. If you have any further questions, feel free to comment below this video, or you can reach to us via the WhatsApp link in the description. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel to learn more about what we do here at iCitizen.